The text message wasn't meant for me. That much was obvious from the moment I saw it pop up on our shared iPad while Jennifer was in the shower. Ugh, look at me. I'm stuck with him. Can't wait for tonight's girls' night. Need to vent about my pathetic husband situation. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in my hand. 23 years of marriage, and this is how my wife really felt. The message was sent to her best friend Lisa, part of some group chat I'd never seen before. My name is David Thompson. I'm 47, own a small auto repair shop downtown, and apparently I'm the pathetic husband my wife feels stuck with. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd been feeling the same way about her for months. I screenshot the message before it could disappear, then calmly walked to our bedroom closet. Jennifer was still in the bathroom, probably doing whatever it is real estate agents do to look perfect for another day of selling overpriced houses to desperate families. The divorce papers were already prepared. I'd had them drawn up 3 weeks ago when I first suspected something was wrong. My lawyer, an old friend from high school, had advised me to gather evidence before making any moves. Well, here was my evidence, gift-wrapped in her own words. I packed a single bag with essentials and left the papers on her pillow. No dramatic confrontation, no shouting match. Just a clean exit from a marriage that had been rotting from the inside for years. "David," Jennifer's voice echoed from the bathroom as I headed for the door. "Can you make me some toast? I'm running late for the Peterson showing." I paused at the front door, keys in hand. "Make your own toast, Jennifer. And while you're at it, check the bedroom." The sound of her hairdryer stopped abruptly. I didn't wait around to hear her reaction. My shop was only 10 minutes away, a converted garage that had belonged to my father before he passed. It smelled like motor oil and honest work, two things that had become foreign concepts in my marriage. I'd been sleeping on the couch in my office for the past 3 weeks anyway, claiming I was working late on a difficult restoration project. Jennifer never bothered to check. The bell above the door chimed as I entered. My assistant, Tommy, was already under the hood of a '98 Camaro, cursing at a stubborn carburetor. "Boss, you're here early, and you look like someone stole your lunch money." "Something like that." I dropped my bag behind the counter and fired up the coffee machine. "Tommy, how long have you been married?" 15 years come October. Why? Ever feel stuck?" Tommy emerged from under the hood, wiping his hands on a rag. He was younger than me by about 10 years, but he had the wisdom that comes from actually paying attention to his wife. "Every marriage has rough patches. But stuck? Nah. When you're really stuck, you know it. It's like trying to start a car with a seized engine. All noise, no movement." My phone buzzed. Jennifer, of course. "What the heck is this? You can't just leave divorce papers and disappear. Call me now." I showed Tommy the message. He whistled low. "Seized engine?" "Seized engine." The phone rang immediately after. Jennifer's ringtone, some pop song she'd programmed that always made me wince. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message on speaker. "David, this is ridiculous. You can't just walk out on 23 years of marriage because of some stupid text." I was venting to Lisa. Everyone vents about their spouse. "Call me back so we can discuss this like adults." Tommy raised an eyebrow. "She sounds real broken up about it." About as broken up as someone who just realized their meal ticket might be walking away. That was the truth Jennifer didn't want to face. My auto shop might not look like much, but it was profitable. Very profitable. I specialized in classic car restoration, and collectors paid premium prices for quality work. Meanwhile, Jennifer's real estate career was all flash and no substance. She spent more on her wardrobe and lease payments than she brought home most months. The phone rang again. This time it was Lisa, Jennifer's partner in gossip, and probably the recipient of countless complaints about her pathetic husband. "David, Jennifer is beside herself. She's at my office crying. Can't you two work this out?" "Lisa, I'm curious. How long has Jennifer been venting about being stuck with me?" Silence on the other end. "I thought so. Tell Jennifer I'll be in touch through my lawyer. And Lisa, next time you want to help someone trash their marriage, maybe suggest they don't do it on a shared device. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories." I hung up and turned to Tommy. "Okay. I'm going to be staying here for a while. Think you can handle me being underfoot?" "Boss, this place has been your real home for years anyway. Jennifer ever even come by to see what you do here?" Good point. In 23 years of marriage, Jennifer had visited my shop exactly twice. Once when we were dating, and once when her car broke down and she needed a ride. She always said the smell of motor oil gave her headaches. The irony was perfect. She was stuck with me, but I was the one who'd been living like a prisoner. My phone buzzed with another text from Jennifer. Fine, be childish, but you're making a huge mistake. We can work through this. I typed back, the only mistake I made was waiting this long. Then I blocked her number and got back to work. Tommy was right about one thing. This place had been my real home for years. Now it was time to make it official. But first, I had some planning to do. Jennifer thought she could dismiss me as pathetic and stuck. She was about to learn that underestimating people has consequences. 3 days later, I was elbow-deep in a transmission rebuild when Tommy poked his head into the shop. Boss, you might want to see this. He handed me his phone, open to Jennifer's social media page. She'd posted a photo from what looked like a backyard party. Our backyard, actually. The caption read, "Celebrating new beginnings with amazing friends. Sometimes life forces you to reevaluate what really matters." In new chapters, they are stronger than ever. In the photo, Jennifer was surrounded by her usual crowd of real estate agents and country club wannabes. She was wearing the expensive dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. She's throwing a party at your house while you're sleeping on a cot in the back room? Tommy shook his head. That's cold, boss. It was more than cold. It was calculated. Jennifer was already spinning the narrative, positioning herself as the victim who was bravely moving forward. I recognized the strategy. She used the same approach with difficult clients, controlling the story before anyone could question her version of events. I scrolled through the comments. Lots of supportive messages from people who clearly only knew Jennifer's side. But one comment caught my attention from her coworker Sandra. Girl, you deserve so much better. That man never appreciated what he had. Never appreciated what I had? I'd worked 60-hour weeks for years to pay for Jennifer's lifestyle. I'd supported her career changes, her expensive hobbies, her constant need for the latest everything, but apparently none of that mattered because I wasn't exciting enough for her tastes. Tommy, can you handle things here for a couple hours? Sure, boss. Where are you heading? Home. I left some tools there that I need back. That wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't entirely false either. I did have tools at the house. I also had a key, and technically I still owned half of everything until the divorce was finalized. The party was in full swing when I arrived. Cars lined our street, and I could hear laughter and music coming from the backyard. I parked around the corner and walked up the driveway like I owned the place, which legally I still did. The back gate was open, and I could see Jennifer holding court near the pool. She was telling some story that had everyone laughing, probably about her terrible, pathetic husband who'd abandoned her for no good reason. I walked through the gate like I belonged there. The conversation stopped. Jennifer's face went white, then red. David, what are you doing here? Getting some tools from my garage, don't mind me. But I didn't head for the garage. Instead, I walked over to the drink table and poured myself a beer from the cooler I'd bought and stocked. Excuse me, Jennifer's voice had that sharp edge it got when she was trying to maintain control. This is a private party. In my backyard, with my beer, using my pool. I took a long drink and looked around at the crowd. Most of them were Jennifer's real estate colleagues, people I'd met at countless office parties over the years. Hi, Sandra. Still selling those overpriced condos downtown? Sandra looked uncomfortable. David, maybe you should... Should what? Leave my own house. I smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Actually, I'm glad everyone's here. Saves me the trouble of making individual phone calls. Jennifer stepped forward. David, don't do this. Whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking our friends deserve to know the truth about why our marriage ended. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshot I'd taken. See, Jennifer's been telling everyone that I just walked out for no reason, that I abandoned our marriage like some kind of monster. The crowd was watching now, sensing drama. But the truth is, I left because I found out how Jennifer really feels about me. She sent this to Lisa 3 days before I filed for divorce. I read the text message aloud, word for word. The backyard went quiet except for the sound of the pool filter. So yes, Jennifer, you were stuck with me, but here's the thing, I was stuck with you too. The difference is, I never badmouthed you to my friends or treated our marriage like a prison sentence. Jennifer's face was bright red now. You're taking that completely out of context. Am I? Because I've got about 50 more messages just like it. Want me to read those too? Lisa stepped forward, trying to play peacemaker. David, everyone vents sometimes. It doesn't mean... Lisa, you've been encouraging this for months. I've got the messages where you tell Jennifer she deserves better, that she should find someone more exciting, that she's wasting her life with a boring mechanic. That was a bluff, but Lisa's expression told me I was close to the truth. I turned back to the crowd. So here's what's really happening. Jennifer's been planning this divorce for months, probably longer. She's been setting up the narrative, making sure everyone sees her as the victim and me as the villain. The only problem with her plan was that she got careless with her phone. David, stop. Jennifer's voice was shaking now. You're embarrassing yourself. No, Jennifer, I'm embarrassing you. There's a difference. I finished my beer and set the bottle on the table. Everyone have a great party. Enjoy the food and drinks. I paid for them anyway. As I walked toward the garage, I heard Jennifer trying to do damage control, her voice high and strained as she attempted to explain away what had just happened. I grabbed a toolbox I didn't actually need and headed back through the yard. The party was breaking up, people making excuses and heading for their cars. Sandra avoided eye contact as she hurried past me. Jennifer caught up with me at the gate. You just ruined everything. No, Jennifer, you ruined everything months ago. I just made sure everyone knew about it. This isn't over. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years. She was still attractive, still put together, still the woman I'd fallen in love with 23 years ago. But there was something cold in her eyes now, something calculating that I'd been too blind to see before. You're right. It's not over. But the next move is yours. I walked back to my truck, leaving Jennifer standing in the driveway as the last of her guests drove away. The party was over, and so was her carefully crafted victim narrative. But I had a feeling this was just the beginning. Jennifer's counterattack came faster than I expected. 2 days after the party incident, Tommy showed me her latest social media post, a long, emotional essay about emotional manipulation and controlling behavior in relationships. She didn't mention me by name, but everyone would know who she was talking about. According to Jennifer's version of events, I was a controlling husband who had isolated her from friends, monitored her communications, and finally snapped when she tried to build a support network. She's good, Tommy admitted, reading over my shoulder. Makes you sound like a real piece of work. She's a salesperson. Spinning stories is what she does for a living. But I had to admit, it stung. Jennifer had taken my moment of honesty and twisted it into evidence of my character flaws. Worse, people were buying it. The post had dozens of supportive comments, all praising Jennifer for her courage in speaking out. My phone rang. It was my sister Karen, calling from Phoenix. David, what the heck is going on? Jennifer just called me crying, saying you've been stalking her and harassing her friends. Karen, that's not... She said you showed up at her party uninvited and humiliated her in front of everyone. Is that true? I explained what really happened, but I could hear the doubt in Karen's voice. Jennifer had gotten to her first, and first impressions matter. Look, I know you two have been having problems, but this doesn't sound like you. Maybe you should consider counseling. Karen, the marriage is over. Jennifer made that clear in her text messages. Text messages can be misinterpreted. I hung up, frustrated. Jennifer was winning the public relations battle, and I was starting to look like the bad guy in my own divorce. That afternoon, I decided to visit my lawyer, Mike Patterson. We'd been friends since high school, and he'd handled the legal work when I bought the shop from my father's estate. Mike's office was in a converted house downtown, the kind of place that specialized in small-town legal work, divorces, wills, property disputes. Nothing glamorous, but Mike was thorough and honest. David, we need to talk about strategy here. Mike leaned back in his chair, looking concerned. Jennifer's hired Rebecca Morrison. I knew the name. Morrison was the most expensive divorce attorney in the county, known for aggressive tactics and big settlements. She's claiming emotional distress, saying you've been controlling and manipulative throughout the marriage. She's asking for spousal support, half the business, and exclusive use of the house. Half the business? She's never even set foot in the shop. Doesn't matter. In this state, assets acquired during marriage are considered joint property, and if Morrison can prove you were emotionally abusive, Jennifer might get more than half. I stared at Mike's desk, trying to process this. So her plan is to paint me as an abuser and take everything I've worked for? That's exactly her plan. And David, I have to ask, did you really crash her party and read her private messages out loud? They weren't private. She sent them on a device we both use. That's not how Morrison will spin it. She'll say you violated Jennifer's privacy and used personal communications to humiliate her publicly. I felt trapped. Every move I made seemed to give Jennifer more ammunition. Mike, what would you do? He was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, I'd be very careful. Morrison is building a case that you're unstable and vindictive. Don't give her any more evidence. I left Mike's office feeling defeated. Jennifer was playing a game I didn't understand, using rules I'd never learned. She had the better lawyer, the better story, and the sympathy of everyone who mattered. But as I drove back to the shop, something occurred to me. Jennifer was good at spinning stories, but she wasn't good at covering her tracks. She'd gotten careless with her phone once. Maybe she'd been careless in other ways too. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I started going through our financial records systematically, looking for patterns I'd missed. What I found was interesting. Jennifer had been spending money we didn't have. Credit cards I didn't know about, cash advances, personal loans. She'd been living beyond our means for months, maybe years, and hiding it from me. But that wasn't the most interesting part. The most interesting part was where the money was going. Expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never been to, hotel charges in the city, payments to a personal trainer named Marcus at some upscale gym across town. I looked up the gym's website. Marcus was featured prominently in their promotional materials. Young, muscular, the kind of guy who probably called everyone bro and posted shirtless selfies on social media. I found his profile easily enough. Sure enough, there were photos of him with various clients, including a recent one of him and Jennifer at some fitness competition. They looked very comfortable together. Suddenly, Jennifer's behavior made a lot more sense. The late nights, the new workout routine, the sudden interest in girls' nights out. She hadn't just been venting about being stuck with me. She'd been planning her exit strategy with someone else. I screenshot everything and sent it to Mike with a message. Found something Morrison might not know about. Then I sat back and smiled for the first time in days. Jennifer thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. But she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd underestimated how thorough a good mechanic can be when he's looking for problems. The game was far from over. Mike called me first thing the next morning, his voice excited in a way I'd rarely heard from my usually calm lawyer. "David, this changes everything. How long has this been going on?" I was in the shop early, going through more financial records I'd pulled from our shared accounts. Based on the credit card charges, at least 8 months, maybe longer. And you had no idea? Jennifer handles most of our finances. I just transfer money from the business account to checking every month and assume she's paying the bills. That had been my first mistake. I'd been so focused on running the shop that I'd let Jennifer manage everything else. It seemed practical at the time. She was detail-oriented, good with numbers, and I trusted her. "David, this is perfect. Morrison's whole case is based on Jennifer being the victim of an emotionally abusive marriage. But if Jennifer was having an affair and hiding financial information, that completely changes the narrative." I found another interesting charge. A weekend at a resort hotel 2 hours away, the same weekend Jennifer had told me she was at a real estate conference. "Mike, what do we do with this?" "We investigate, carefully. I'm going to hire a private investigator to document everything. Meanwhile, you need to keep gathering evidence, but don't do anything that could be seen as stalking or harassment." After I hung up, I continued going through the records. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. Jennifer had been living a double life, and it was expensive. Tommy arrived around 8, took one look at me and shook his head. "Boss, you look like you've been up all night." "Pretty much." I showed him what I'd found. Tommy whistled low. "Man, she really played you. How much money are we talking about?" $23,000 in the last 8 months. Money I thought was going to household expenses. "What kind of personal trainer charges that much?" "The kind who provides more than fitness advice." Tommy laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "So what's the plan?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. Jennifer. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "David, we need to talk." "Talk to my lawyer." "Please. This is getting out of hand. Can't we handle this like adults?" There was something different in her voice, less confident than usual. "What do you want, Jennifer?" "I want to meet. Just the two of us. Maybe we can work something out without lawyers." I looked at Tommy, who was shaking his head vigorously. "Where?" "That coffee shop downtown. The one where we had our first date." "The nostalgia play." Jennifer was pulling out all the stops. "Fine, 1 hour." I hung up and turned to Tommy. "What do you think she wants?" "To find out how much you know?" He was probably right. Jennifer was smart enough to realize that her financial secrets might not stay secret much longer. The coffee shop was nearly empty when I arrived. Jennifer was already there, sitting in a corner booth, looking smaller and more vulnerable than I'd seen her in years. "Thank you for coming." She stood up to hug me, but I stepped back. "What do you want, Jennifer?" "I want to apologize. For the text message, for the party, for all of it. I've been under a lot of stress with work, and I took it out on you." I sat down across from her. "Stress from work?" "The real estate market has been terrible. I haven't been making my numbers, and my boss has been threatening to let me go." That was interesting. Jennifer's social media had been full of posts about successful sales and happy clients. "So you decided to cope with work stress by planning a divorce?" "I wasn't planning anything. I was just venting to Lisa. You know how she is. She always tells me what she thinks I want to hear. Jennifer reached across the table and touched my hand. David, we can fix this. We've been together 23 years. That has to count for something. I looked at her hand on mine. 3 days ago, that touch might have meant something. Now it just felt like another manipulation. Jennifer, where were you the weekend of April 15th? Her hand went still. What? April 15th. You told me you were at a real estate conference in the city. Yes, the conference. Which hotel? David, why are you asking me this? Because I'm curious about your continuing education. What sessions did you attend? Jennifer pulled her hand back. I don't remember the details. It was months ago. Try. She was quiet for a long moment, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out how much I knew. David, if you have something to say, just say it. I know about Marcus. The color drained from her face. I know about the hotel charges, the restaurant bills, the $23,000 you've spent on your new lifestyle. Jennifer's composure cracked. David, it's not what you think. What I think is that you've been planning this divorce for months while having an affair and hiding financial information from me. What I think is that your emotional distress claims are going to be pretty hard to prove when your boyfriend testifies about your relationship. He's not my boyfriend. He's my trainer. A trainer who takes you to expensive hotels for weekend fitness retreats? Jennifer was crying now, but they looked like angry tears, not sad ones. You have no right to spy on me. I have every right to know where my money is going. Your money? I've contributed to this marriage too. By spending money we don't have on an affair? Jennifer wiped her eyes and straightened up. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. Fine. You want to play hardball? We'll play hardball. But remember, David, you're the one who chose this. She stood up and walked out, leaving me sitting alone in the coffee shop where we'd had our first date 24 years ago. I called Mike from the parking lot. She knows that we know. What's our next move? Now we wait. Jennifer's going to have to decide whether she wants to fight a battle she can't win or negotiate a settlement that doesn't destroy both of you. What do you think she'll choose? Mike was quiet for a moment. David, I think your wife is about to surprise you. He was right, but not in the way either of us expected. Jennifer's surprise came in the form of Marcus showing up at my shop 2 days later. I was working on a carburetor rebuild when the bell chimed, and I looked up to see 6 feet of gym-sculpted muscle filling my doorway. You David Thompson? Depends who's asking. I'm Marcus. I think you know who I am. I set down my wrench and wiped my hands on a rag. Marcus was younger than I'd expected, probably early 30s, with the kind of artificial confidence that comes from spending too much time looking at yourself in mirrors. Let me guess, Jennifer sent you? Nobody sent me. I came on my own. He stepped further into the shop, trying to look intimidating. We need to talk. Tommy emerged from under a car hood, took one look at the situation, and casually picked up a tire iron. Boss, you need something? It's fine, Tommy. Marcus here just wants to chat. Marcus glanced nervously at Tommy, then back at me. Look, man, this situation is getting out of hand. Jennifer's a mess. She's crying all the time, can't sleep, can't eat. And you think that's my fault? I think you're being vindictive. She made a mistake, okay? People make mistakes. I almost laughed. A mistake? Marcus, she's been lying to me for 8 months while spending my money on hotels and dinners with you. That's not a mistake. That's a plan. She was going to tell you. She just needed time to figure out how. Time to figure out how to take half of everything I own, you mean? Marcus stepped closer, and I could smell his expensive cologne mixed with gym sweat. Here's the thing, old man. Jennifer's with me now. You can make this easy, or you can make it hard, but either way, it's over between you two. Old man? I looked at Tommy, who was grinning. Did he just call me old man? I think he did, boss. I turned back to Marcus. Son, I'm 47 years old. I've been working with my hands since I was 16. I've rebuilt engines, fought through 2 recessions, and built a business from nothing. You think some gym rat who seduces married women is going to intimidate me? Marcus puffed up his chest. I'm just saying, maybe you should consider Jennifer's offer. Split things 50-50 and walk away clean. What offer? She didn't tell you? She's willing to let you keep the shop if you sign over the house and don't contest the spousal support. I stared at him. Let me keep the shop, the business I built myself? She's being generous. That's when I lost it. Not in a violent way. I'm not that kind of man, but in a cold, calculating way that probably scared Marcus more than shouting would have. Tommy, show Marcus here to the door. Wait, Marcus held up his hands. I'm trying to help you both here. No, you're trying to help yourself. See, Marcus, I know exactly what you are. You're a predator who targets unhappy married women with money. Jennifer's not your first client who became something more, is she?" His expression told me I was right. "I did some research on you. 3 other married women in the past 2 years, all wealthy, all divorced shortly after starting your training program. It's quite a business model. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that Jennifer's credit card paid for your new truck. I know she's been covering your rent for the past 4 months. I know about the jewelry, the clothes, all of it." Marcus was backing toward the door now. "And here's what else I know. Jennifer doesn't have any money. Everything she's been spending on you, that was my money. When this divorce is over and the truth comes out, she's going to be broke. What do you think happens to your relationship then? She's got the house. The house has a mortgage bigger than its current value. She's got credit card debt, personal loans, and no real income. Face it, Marcus, you picked the wrong mark this time." The color had drained from his face. "You're lying. Ask her. Ask her about the debt. Ask her how she's planning to pay for that fancy lawyer without my financial support." Marcus looked around the shop like he was seeing it for the first time, probably calculating what it might be worth. "The shop's not for sale," I said, reading his thoughts, "and it never will be." After Marcus left, Tommy shook his head admiringly. "Boss, that was brutal. You think he'll dump her?" "I think Marcus is about to have a very interesting conversation with Jennifer about their financial future." I was right. That evening, I got a call from Mike. "David, you're not going to believe this. Morrison just called. Jennifer wants to settle." "What kind of settlement?" "She keeps the house and her car. You keep the business and your truck. No spousal support, no splitting of assets. She just wants out." I sat down heavily. After all the drama, all the threats and legal maneuvering, Jennifer was willing to walk away with almost nothing. What changed her mind? I don't know, but Morrison sounded like she was in damage control mode. Whatever you did, it worked. I knew what had happened. Marcus had done the math and realized that Jennifer wasn't the golden ticket he'd thought she was. Without my income to support her lifestyle, she was just another middle-aged woman with expensive tastes and no way to pay for them. "Mike, draw up the papers." "David, are you sure? This is very generous on your part." I thought about it. 23 years of marriage, and it was ending with a whimper instead of a bang. Part of me wanted to fight, to make Jennifer pay for what she'd done, but another part of me just wanted it to be over. "I'm sure. Let her have the house. I never liked it anyway." 3 weeks later, I signed the divorce papers in Mike's office. Jennifer wasn't there. Morrison handled everything. It was strangely anticlimactic after all the drama. That afternoon, I was cleaning out the last of my stuff from the house when Jennifer came home. We stood in the driveway, 2 people who'd shared more than half our lives, with nothing left to say to each other. "David, I'm sorry for all of it." I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even relief. Just emptiness. "I know you are, Jennifer." "Are you going to be okay?" "I'm going to be fine. What about Marcus?" Her face tightened. "Marcus is no longer part of my life." I figured as much. I loaded the last box into my truck and turned back to her. "Jennifer, for what it's worth, I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for." What if what I was looking for was right here all along? I shook my head. "No, if it had been, you wouldn't have gone looking somewhere else." I drove away from the house for the last time, watching Jennifer in my rearview mirror until she disappeared around a corner. Tommy was waiting for me at the shop with a beer and a grin. "So, boss, how does it feel to be a free man?" I thought about it as I opened the beer and looked around the shop. My shop, completely and legally mine now. It feels like coming home. And for the first time in years, that was exactly what it felt like.